Hi there. Recently I played Elden Ring, my first Souls-like game, and it went just great. Since then I've been crowned Gamer of the Year twice in a row, but I think it's time for my next challenge. See, with Elden Ring, while it was definitely difficult, I think I played it a bit safe. I spent a lot of time avoiding fights and finding the best items, which meant the game wasn't actually that bad. So now I'm going to try Bloodborne, which I've heard is very different given the fact that it is an open world and has very unique combat. So what could possibly go wrong? Bloodborne throws you right into the deep end in terms of story, talking about blood contracts, nightmares, and little gremlins that crawl over you. Now I'd take this all much more seriously if my character wasn't Mr. Freeze, but you know, we move. And right at the start you've already got some great world building. You awaken in a dark and eerie clinic, fight a wolf and emerge in this Victorian-style city littered with towering Gothic architecture. The environment is definitely one of my favourite parts about this game. It does a really great job in creating this unsettling mood. Everyone is hiding in their houses, they start laughing at you because you're stuck outside, and I'm like, what? This place seems great as long as you look past the 20-foot beast that killed me 10 times. In Elden Ring, you fight an evil hand monster from hell that makes me feel genuinely ill. In Bloodborne, you fight 20 British people, which is why this is the most disturbing game yet created. In fact, this is probably the best depiction of England in any game. You've got all these cramped streets littered with smog, you've got human-sized rats and rat-sized humans, and every time you turn a corner you get attacked with a knife. Every other video game is just New York / anywhere in America, so it's nice to see something close to home. But enough about the visual environment, we gotta talk about the physical environment, in particular the layout of the levels. This is one of the things that feels completely alien after playing Elden Ring. It feels very linear, but there are also quite a few alternate paths. You've got to keep a mental note of the corners you've turned and the ladders you've gone up or gone past because there's no map. I found myself getting quite lost at the start of the game. It's very dense with a lot of verticality, which can make things a bit overwhelming. What's also very apparent is the lack of checkpoints. In this opening area, which could take you an hour or so to traverse, there is one checkpoint at the start and that's it. In the Ring game, they're practically everywhere, which definitely helps me feel safer, but I think I like Bloodborne's approach more. The way it makes this work is through shortcuts. As you make your way through the world, you will find doors to open or ladders to drop, meaning that if you die, which you will, the way back to where you died won't be nearly as long, but without just spawning you right there. It makes these small actions feel so significant, and the way the levels are designed helps to do this as well. The shortcuts aren't shoved down your throat, they're not illuminated by bright lights or painted yellow, you have to be aware of your surroundings. And I think this is much more captivating than just being given a bright beacon of light every 45 seconds. But the more linear nature of Bloodborne comes with a big challenge. Ultimately, all the paths you go down will funnel you back to a sort of choke point. In the first area, it's one of two bosses, and if you can't beat them, that's it, there is no way forward. Elden Ring allowed me to take a step back, go a different direction for an hour or two and come back with some shiny new loot. In Bloodborne, you can't really do this, which might prove troublesome for some people. Now obviously there are loads of games where you have to do things in order. If you can't beat 5-4 and New Super Mario Bros. Wii, then I have bad news. You won't be able to play the Bone Serpent level, but, you know, Mario isn't exactly as hard as Bloodborne. If you want to get past these roadblocks, you gotta master the mechanics, and that's what I'm going to talk about right now. I don't know about you, but one thing I get worried about when playing a game series in a reverse order is that I presume the older ones are going to feel outdated or just be missing certain things I liked about the newer ones. If you played Spider-Man 2018 after Miles Morales, then you'll feel pretty powerless at the start because Peter is missing some of the moves that Miles had by default. And when playing Persona 4, I realised just how much I took the baton pass and interrogation mechanics from Persona 5 for granted. And I was afraid I'd feel the same way about playing Bloodborne, which came out 7 years before Elden Ring. Now, I'm happy to say, this is not the case. In many ways, I think I prefer the combat in Bloodborne. If I were to describe it in one word, I'd go with balance. In particular, finding the right balance. First of all, the weapons are dynamic. Almost all of them have two distinct modes that you can switch between as you please. I chose to use the Saw Cleaver at the start of the game, and with it you can make it a close range weapon that attacks quick, or unfold it into a longer range weapon that hits harder but is a bit slower and uses more stamina. Both of these modes have their pros and cons, so you gotta find the right balance. And look at this one, looks like a normal sword, right? No, you're wrong, and stupid. Let me just summon my comedically large hammerhead and attach it to the end. Different situations and enemies call for a different mode to be used, and if you want to get really fancy, you can switch between the two mid-combo. To get the best results, you gotta find the right balance. Also core to Bloodborne's combat is this lifesteal mechanic. Basically, when you get hit by an enemy, your health bar will go down, but the part you just lost will have this orange colour. If you hit the enemy while this meter is still orange, you get some of that health back. It only lasts for a few seconds, and if you get hit again, you'll lose it for good. I thought this was really interesting, and it made fights feel completely different. In Elden Ring, a fight would go like this. Approach enemy. Swing the pizza wheel. Miss. Get hit for half your health. Backflip, 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 backflip. Drink potion. Summon doggy. Backflip. In Bloodborne, if you get hit, you gotta get back in there. You gotta be ruthless, but you don't want to be reckless. You gotta find that balance. The enemies themselves also emulate this. Some of their attacks, you best dodge them. Other ones are better parried, and others give you the opportunity to attack yourself. You gotta find that equilibrium. This helped the combat seem really fresh, but it also made me feel like a complete beginner again. Learning what approach to use and when did not come easy, nor did the timings for parries and dodges. When you get that perfect clean fight, you feel unstoppable. Anyway, let's get back to what I was saying earlier about Roblox. It's like DJ Khaled famously said, life is Roblox, and Bloodborne has plenty. In the first area, it's in the form of this guy, Father Gascoigne. Once you've made your way through Yharnam, you stumble across him, and if you want to progress with the game, you have no choice but to beat him. But here's the thing. He cheats at Bloodborne. He has all the moves you have, he's got a weapon with 2 modes, a gun, he can dodge your attacks and even parry your attacks. When I first got to him, I had fought through most of Yharnam and amassed 5,000 blood echoes, which is the currency you use to level up your character. With this amount, I could have leveled up like 5 times, which is very significant. After I found him, I died pretty quickly, and if you don't know what happens when you die in these games, you lose all your blood echoes. If you want to retrieve them, you've got to go all the way back through the level, and either collect them or defeat the enemy that picked them up. If you die on the way back, that's it. Those blood echoes are gone forever, and this is what happened to me. And I'm like, man. The worst feeling in any game for me is that I've wasted my time. I did all that work, but now I'm back here with nothing to show for it. I had this feeling a few times playing Elden Ring, but I had it a lot more frequently in Bloodborne, mainly because of how scarce the checkpoints are. But if you're like me, getting into the Souls games for the first time, this is a feeling that you're going to have to get over pretty quickly if you want to beat them. Because even though it seems like it, you don't actually have nothing to show for it, though you might think it at first. You may have lost your level up currency, but you didn't lose the items that you found. That door you opened will stay open, and now you've got a shortcut that means you don't have to deal with the British people again. And then there's the less obvious things. You now know the layout of the area a bit better, you know the guy with the knife jumps you from behind that cart, you know the moveset of the thing that killed you a little bit better. Your character may not have gained in power, but you did. And when you succeed, which you will, the victory feels all the more satisfying, more so than in any other game. And that's what happened to me with Gascoigne. Yeah, he's a prick, but a prick you'll find easier to parry after each attempt. He's a hunter just like you, with all your moves, and he serves as an example for the level you'll need to be operating at from this point on in the game. I think he's a perfect first boss. And I'll be honest, the game gets much harder, but you don't need to worry about that. Now I think it's time we address the blood-starved beast in the room. Of all the Souls-like games, Bloodborne is one of the only ones that is... Hey man, do you mind? I'm right in the middle of something. Ow! What? Hey, what prick? Okay, bye. Anyway, of all the Souls-like games, Bloodborne is one of the only ones that is platform... Okay, he's back. Bro, do you mind? Ow! Okay, right, see ya. Thanks. Of all the Souls-like games, Bloodborne is one of the only ones that is Okay, he's back. No. No, you got scared. Alright. Okay. Of all the Souls... Okay, he's back. Of all the Souls-like games, Bloodborne is one of the only ones that is platform specific. If you want to play it, you gotta have a PlayStation. But what's worse is that it's also locked to 30 frames per second. Now, don't get me wrong, games are completely playable at 30 FPS, but the PS5 could definitely run it at 60 at least. The game just hasn't been updated to support this. Bloodborne has been out for 8 years now, we've had no news on a PC or Xbox or the 3DS port. It feels like the game has been forgotten, which is a shame because, you know, this game's really, really good. Is it because Sony wants to keep it, or are FromSoft busy? Who knows? All I know is that y'all are missing out. Just like other entries in the Soulsborne series, Bloodborne demands an understanding of its mechanics to a degree rarely seen in other games. To say it's challenging is an understatement, but it rewards you in the form of an engaging story, a rich open world and the ability to kill 200 British people. It is a test of patience and perseverance that almost always feels worth it. I'm definitely happy I played Elden Ring first, as I feel like it prepared me for this far more demanding task, and I cannot recommend— oh my god, he's back. Uh-oh.